having you on the show, but tell us, how's life been since your last big win and the announcement of your exciting new matchup with Kьезой in Oklahoma as the headliner?
It's been pretty smooth, but, it ain't time for me to sit back and celebrate just yet. I got big things and I got big plans left for this year. So as soon as I came back, I went out and, I went to Miami for like a week. And, I just kind of I chilled for maybe like 2 weeks, and then I was right back on the horse. Getting back in this one with Kьезой. After this one, I headlined the card in Detroit, and we really started making some money around here.
Very nice, very nice. And just on this headlining spot, I mean, there's some fun fights on the card. You got Johnny Hendricks. He was talking to us last week about his big fight with Tim Boesch. You got BJ Penn. He's taking on Dennis Seaver. Little Nog's on the card. How does it feel headlining a card with so many veterans and stars, and you obviously, kind of trumping all of them?
It shows that the UFC knows what they're doing. I think they're taking me on the same path as like they took Cody last year, where he went from an unranked contender all the way to the number one guy. So I'm looking to follow that blueprint. The UFC knows what they're doing. They're putting me ahead of these guys because I think I'll be the future of that division, and they know it, and they're gonna put forth the promotion into it instead of a guy like I remember when I first made my first UFC win, BJ Penn was headlining the card. So it's a big honor to be on the same card with him and a little bit above him.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, what do you think about, obviously, him threatening to retire, voicing some of those complaints? And are you a little bit disappointed that if he leaves, you obviously won't get that, rematch that you've been wanting for a long time?
No, I think even he knows, everybody that's seen that fight, the first fight, and see me now, we pretty much all know I blow out the water. So I'm not even really too upset about it. Yeah, maybe if it was somebody now or something, but to be honest, like, I've already gotten over it. As far as I'm concerned, he's the one that's chasing me now. So, I might grant him a rematch. I'm really not even that, I won't be that. Like I told him, nobody really give a fuck if he retire. He can retire tomorrow, and, he'll go back to selling those houses, and I'll go back and I'll try and buy a house from him in New York. So, either way, I can do that. I'll bring him out. I'll let him be one of my sparring partners, and I'll get ready for a real fight and, beat him up, and I'll pay him per round too.
Oh, very nice.
I can hear the excitement in your voice when you think about that fight. And don't get us wrong, we will talk about Майклом Кьезой in a moment, but with sort of getting excited for Khabib, is there a part of you that thinks about what happened at UFC 209 with obviously the last-minute withdrawal and that whole unfortunate situation? I'm also wondering, what do you think that does in terms of his standings in the rankings?
I thought that it should have dropped him in the rankings. I thought that you clearly have to put Tony Ferguson above him. Why they still? The reason why he's still considered the number one contender is all politics. He brings in a huge market, a lot of money, much more than a guy like Tony. When Tony has fought and beat everybody that he's beat, and he's done it more recently and more frequently. So I didn't even think. I still don't consider it to be the number one contender. Just people do. The man can't punch his way out of a paper bag. We see him on the feet. He's stiff. He's stiff as a board. His shoulders are all locked up. And he's nervous out there. All he was trying to do is just grab a hold of you. He don't have the level of experience in my eyes that people give him. He might be 24-0 or whatever, but he's only got a couple fights in the UFC and not that many. He's only had one or two these last couple years. So I've never gone a year without fighting. I've never gone a year without fighting more than once or more than twice, really. So I don't understand that, and it just don't get no respect from me. So that's why I want to make the fight happen.
Your division at the moment is going through an interesting situation, the lightweight division. What are your thoughts on the situation now with Conor McGregor being the champion, but not looking like he'll really kind of fight this year? Also, RDA is switching weight classes. Nate Diaz looks like he won't really be fighting anybody. You're in an interesting position right now. It kind of looks like the top of the division, is it at a standstill or sort of leaving or not fighting in the next year or so? So how do you sort of survey that? What are your thoughts on it?
So that leaves a giant hole for me to jump right through, Like I said, I think when I look at this year, I'm looking at it, as far as like Cody. Cody is the perfect example for it because he just did it recently. And but you go back to guys like John Jones, he made his big breakthrough in 1 year, where they go from unranked all the way to the number one contender or a champ spot. So
for sure, and I think, like you mentioned, Kevin, a win over Michael Kьезой is a big hoop to jump through, but in a wide open division, it definitely catapults you up there. What do you think of his recent success? He's obviously beaten Jim Miller, and then his last victory came against. Oh God, it's a huge win. I'm having a mind blank at the worst possible moment. Help me out here, Kevin.
Well, he just beat Beneil Dariush.
There you go. Yeah.
Which was a huge fight for him. He's really only lost to Jorge Masvidal, and you see, Masvidal's a fucking killer. I mean, the guy beats guys that he's not supposed to beat, and that ain't gonna happen on June 25th. He's not going. It ain't gonna happen again. So I think he's a very good fighter. Make no mistake. He shows up in shape. He's pushing the pace like a mother. He's very awkward. He's gonna beat a lot of guys. But my ducks are all in a row, and I'm gonna knock them down. So I think I'm doing the UFC a favor again by getting rid of this guy who they don't want to be in that top 5. You can't really market him against much of a. Even though, I mean, people don't understand. Like, he would give a lot of people a hell of a fight. He would give McGregor a hell of a fight, but it's just not a very marketable fight in terms of money.
Mm-hmm. I mean, speaking of the matchup, both of you obviously really good wrestlers, top level, but what do you see specifically as your strengths in this matchup when you kind of look at it on paper?
Even if you make, because he's great from the back. You give up your back to him, it's pretty much good night. He's great from your back. He's great from top position. He does it. He's great in the clinch. He does a lot of stuff great, but I do him just as good, if not better. On top of being a much better striker, much more polished. My kicks are way more devastating. I'm much faster. I'm much stronger. I'm much younger. I got more confidence than the man. I'll take his heart from him. So, we'll see how the fight goes. But as far as I'm concerned, it's all in a row for me. So I'm just knocking him down out the park now.